Hello, everyone. There's something I want to speak on clearly because I know it raises questions for people and sometimes even turns them away. When I do purification work, some people experience intense reactions afterward and in the coming days. Nightmares, emotional upheaval, old memories flooding back, and occasionally someone will blame me, thinking I did something to them. But I want to be absolutely clear. This is not a sign that something went wrong. It's the first sign that something buried was finally disturbed. Real purification isn't symbolic. It's not imaginary. It shifts spiritual and energetic structures that have been embedded in a person's field for years. Sometimes since childhood, sometimes from generational trauma or even past lives. So when I do this work, what happens? Attachments react. If something parasitic is living in your field, it doesn't go quietly. It may stir up fear, panic, dreams, or confusion to stay in control. Buried trauma rises. Pain that was never processed starts to come to the surface. The person may feel like it's happening again, even though it's finally leaving. The ego resists. If someone has built an identity around being stable, strong, or in control, these shifts feel threatening. And if they don't have the context for what's happening, they might assume that I caused it. But I didn't give them anything. I removed something that didn't belong. Let's talk about trauma, because this is where people get stuck. Why is it important to release trauma? Because unprocessed trauma doesn't stay in the past. It lives in the person's nervous system, the body, and the energetic field, and it shapes everything. It distorts perception. You start seeing the world through the lens of the wound. It fragments the self. Parts of you freeze in time and they begin to sabotage or act unconsciously. It drains your energy. Constant tension, vigilance, and defense mode become normal. It dulls spiritual clarity. Trauma blocks the flow of spirit. It creates openings for outside interference. It doesn't end with you. Unhealed trauma passes through families and communities. So when it comes up during purification, that's not a bad sign. That's the beginning of the release. This happened with someone I worked with recently. She was actually going to help me with clinical trials, but after our session, she had a strong reaction. Instead of asking me questions or processing what surfaced, she cut me off completely. That's her right, but it also shows how misunderstood this work really is. Many people also carry deep unconscious beliefs, often from Western religious frameworks, that frame everything unfamiliar as dangerous, evil, or deceptive. These ideas run deep, even in people who no longer consciously identify with a religion. They were taught to be suspicious of anything outside a narrow spiritual lens. So when something unfamiliar happens, especially if it challenges what they thought healing should feel like, their instinct is fear or outright rejection. But I encourage you to pause and ask, where did those reactions come from? Whose voice is that, warning you to turn away? Is it truly your intuition or conditioning? This work asks you to question that, to feel for yourself, to experience, not just believe. Most people have only experienced surface level energy work. They haven't felt something real being removed, so when the darkness stirs on its way out, they panic. From now on, I'm going to try to be even more clear with those I work with. You might experience emotional or spiritual detox after a session. You might feel dreams, memories, or shifts in your body. That doesn't mean something is wrong. That means something is leaving. I will also try to be offering better guidance for how to ground, restore, and integrate, because this work is real. And real work sometimes stirs the dust before it clears the air. I don't inject energy into people. I don't manipulate. I don't experiment. I do purification. And when purification works, sometimes it gets messy. Sometimes it scares people. And sometimes the very thing that needed to leave convinces them that I was the danger. But I'm not the storm. I'm the one who opened the window and let in the light. What rose up, the fear, the memories, the emotion, was already within you, waiting for a moment to be seen and released. And if it shook you, that means it was time. The path to clarity is not always gentle, but it is always worth it. Every wave that rises is a wave that passes. Every shadow that surfaces is a step toward wholeness. This work doesn't leave you broken. It leaves you freer. And if you're still here, still breathing, still willing to heal, you're already stronger than what tried to hold you. That's the deeper truth behind this work. It's not about fear. It's about freedom. If this speaks to you, and if you haven't been joining my sessions, I invite you to join me for my live group purification sessions. I host them nightly, and they're open to anyone who feels called to release what no longer serves and reconnect with deeper clarity. Just come as you are. No need for belief, just willingness. You can find the link in the description below. I hope to see you there.